whenever I speak about art, I always want to kind of illuminate it, make it more approachable, more accessible, and more intimate to the person looking at it, so they have a connection with it. And to be honest with you, I found it very easy with this exhibit because first I looked at the images and then I spoke with Iulia, and she told me a little bit about herself and her education, how she had studied art early on, and then because she was good at math, she ended up being pushed to go into the sciences and pursued a career in architecture. Interior architecture was her passion, and then 5 years ago she began to paint more seriously. And in the beginning, she said it was kind of refreshing her mind and training herself how to get back into that spirit, and it was very academic. But then an event happened in her life which made her want to be more, I don't know, the way I interpret it was a little bit more authentic to herself and a little bit true, and she expressed herself through color. And I thought that was a fantastic description of what you see when you look at her art, because I was immediately struck by the beautiful, beautiful, rich color. And then when she began to explain her paintings to me, they became so much deeper, so much more rich, and they really spoke to me. So I just wanted to speak a little bit about the art in terms of the kind of inspiration she had, and also the schools of art that I think I see very much in her art. So for instance, we talked, I said, what inspired you? She said Fauvism. Fauvism is a style of art that began in the early 20th century, and it focused primarily on colors. And color to evoke emotion, to evoke a feeling, and particularly colors are used wildly. So a color for a face isn't a natural color, but it can be green and blue and red, and it can be shocking, but it can also pull you into the painting and make you feel something. And I felt very much that that was something that was very evident in her paintings. And also, I saw a lot of Gauguin and Matisse as well, and we talked about that as well. And she had a class where a professor asked, what can you add to art history? What can you add to the genre of art? And she said that she didn't see that she could see something, she wasn't going to invent the wheel, as it were, but she wanted to show herself. She wanted to show her true self, and I felt that that really came through. So for instance, the paintings as you enter, which are particularly of the palm fronds, and she said that she laid back and she looked up into the palm trees, and the light came through them and the leaves began to sway. And if you look at the leaves, if you look at them quickly, you get a feeling that they're green, but they're not actually green at all. They're pink, they're blue, they're green, they're yellow, they're a whole bunch of different colors. And you feel the gentle dance and the gentle swaying of the leaves when you look at it. And I think that's something that is so well done in these paintings, because they do evoke not only a feeling, but a connection with the viewer looking at them. And particularly when you know a little bit more about the history. So for instance, one that I just absolutely adore, it's over there in the corner. And at first I didn't know exactly what it was. When I looked at it, I just was drawn to it. And we began to talk about the medium that she uses. She uses a lot of oil. And she said that she loved to use oil because of the texture. There's a creaminess, there's a smoothness, there's a richness. And if you go up and look at it, you really feel it. The red there is so rich and so juicy, as it were, and these are berries, and you feel it. She explained to me that it was after the Fukushima explosion, and she thought about nuclear affected organisms emerging from the ocean, and I began to see it. And not only that, but the blue that she created kind of made me feel like we were in a different world, and I was being pulled into it. And it wasn't just with that one. Over here, I particularly love this one, when she was explaining it to me in the sense of that it was a self-portrait, but it was also had elements of it that were the American Statue of Liberty, because she visited the United States, and then she used this green, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a Russian green, correct? And then of course, this whole idea that when she was painting it, there was the conflict in the Crimea, and there was the stress about the Russians, and yet at the same time, what's happening with American politics. And she pulled all of those elements with the medium, the green from Russia, the symbolism, which is the Statue of Liberty and the sleeping Statue of Liberty, plus the political atmosphere, and you feel pulled in by the color in particular, and that's where I was talking about the fauvism coming into play, and you begin to ponder when you look at it. And it wasn't the only one. For instance, this one, I don't think any kind of picture can do it justice, because when you look at it, it feels like you're looking at something that shimmers and is gold and is vibrant, and you feel the feathers kind of flickering and twisting. And when you look at the description as well, you'll begin to understand that, okay, yes, it's a beautiful peacock, but then she talks about the philosopher's stone and alchemy, and there's a magical moment. And there is a magical moment in art as well, when you make a connection. And when you make that connection and you feel something, when you look at a painting, that is the alchemy for me. Not only the fact that it does look like gold, and it feels vibrant, and it feels real, and it feels alive. And then some major themes that I felt when I looked at her work were things like mythology. And you have these two goddesses on the side. You have the winds over there on those paintings. You also have politics in her paintings. You have